channel. Today I'm going to be going over a second trimester update. I am officially 28 weeks pregnant, which means I'm done with my second trimester and on to the third, which is so wild. I can't even believe it. Time has gone by so fast, but I'm so excited. I wanted to go over with you guys some of my symptoms, some things that I was feeling, and some things that were happening to me. So let's just jump right into the video. So I have written down everything on my phone kind of as the weeks went by, so I won't forget anything, and kind of recorded week by week. So the first thing that I have written down is continued headaches. I mentioned in my first trimester update that I struggled with really bad headaches and migraines throughout the whole trimester, and going into my second trimester I still had them. However, they did ease up. Like as I progressed through my second trimester, they've lessened and lessened, thankfully, but I still would get them probably in the beginning of my second trimester. I would get them maybe once a week, and then nearing the end of it I now maybe get them once every other week, if that, but I still am kind of getting them, but they are less, so that is really good. Also, funny thing I will mention with the headaches is I have decided I didn't want to take any medicine at all. They say that you can take Tylenol for headaches, but there was one night that seriously I had a headache all day, went to bed, woke up with the same migraine, and finally I took half a Tylenol and I felt even bad about that. But anyway, yeah, the headaches, they have eased up, but I do still have them. Also, I had nausea a little bit in my first trimester, and then now in my second trimester I don't have it at nighttime anymore. However, I will get a little bit nauseous if I do too much throughout the day. If I think it comes down to just being like overworked, but then I will feel, if I had a long day, like kind of like ugh, kind of sick, kind of nauseous towards the end. But again, the nausea's not too bad, pretty much gone from my first trimester, the little bit of nausea that I did have. I also wanted to mention, when I was 17 weeks pregnant, I was at that time seeing a specialist. I no longer see a high-risk specialist anymore, but I did see one, and he mentioned that my placenta was low. So that doesn't mean it was placenta previa where it is completely blocking your cervix, but it was just really low and right next to my cervix, which can be a cause for concern if you're later in your pregnancy, because that will mean that you have to have a C-section, because if your placenta is like too close to your cervix, you can't have the baby naturally. So that was something that they wanted to keep an eye on. My doctor wasn't concerned about it at all. She said normally it will move up, and by the time I was 21 weeks, 22 weeks is when I had my anatomy scan, and after that they did say it moved up. So thankfully it moved up, so we had no problems there. All right, at 15 weeks is when I felt the first little tiny flutter, which was it was so cool. So that day I remember exactly, we had actually had an event for my church, and one of my friends there mentioned, you know, if you just lie on your back and just relax and really focus on it, like you might be able to like feel something small, like notice a small movement. And so I went home that day, laid down on my back, and that's exactly what happened. It was like within 5 minutes, and I felt the tiniest little flutter. I would compare it to almost like a little fish, like fluttering like really quickly. And yeah, that was the first time that I felt movement. But I was 15 weeks at that point, and I didn't feel the next movements until I was 18 weeks. I wasn't able to feel it again. That was just the first time. And then when I was 18 weeks is when I started actually feeling like little kicks and jabs and things like that. And from that point on, I started feeling movements pretty consistently. Mainly at night at that point is when I would feel the movements. Also, we if you guys don't know, we do know the gender. We found out the gender pretty early on, and we're having a girl, so we're really excited. We cannot wait to have our little girl. I also wrote at 18 weeks that I had an increased appetite. That has kind of come and go throughout my whole second trimester. Some days I feel like a normal amount of hunger, or maybe even less than normal, and then I will have other days where I'm just like starving all day. I feel like I need to eat. But I just really, as each week comes, I just kind of listen to my body on what I feel. If I feel a little extra hungry or I feel a little less hungry, I just do whatever feels right. At 19 weeks, I put that I started to get round ligament pain, which is basically those ligaments or muscles or whatever, I don't really know, that are by your uterus or supporting your uterus. I don't really know, but they're stretching out because obviously you're getting bigger. And I noticed that I would get that again if I was doing a lot. If I had a busy day of a lot of walking or moving around a lot, then I would notice that, yeah, sometimes when I moved, I would get like a little pain. I haven't had too much of the round ligament pain, but I did get it a little bit, and I wrote that at 19 weeks is when I started noticing that. As I mentioned, we did our anatomy scan. I believe I was 21 or 22 weeks when I did it. Everything came back normal, thankfully. That was really good. And at that point is when I stopped seeing the high-risk specialist, because they said since the anatomy scan was completely normal, I was no longer considered like high risk, and that I was good to go. Alrighty, then at 22 weeks is when Josue actually saw the first kick, which at this point I was feeling movements and little kicks and little jabs and stuff, but at 22 weeks is when Josue could actually see it, and even I could see it like outside of my stomach, like you would see like my stomach twitch or something like that. Girl has energy already, I can tell, because she moves all the time, constantly. And I also put at 22 weeks, I started to get, which I have never experienced in my life before, but I started getting Charlie horses, like leg cramps. If you don't know what a Charlie horse is, it's basically feels like just like the muscle or something just like kind of cramps up, knots up, and really tight, and it hurts so bad. Seriously, it's really painful. It only lasts like less than a minute, but it's really painful. It always happens to me in the middle of the night. It wakes me up and my legs hurt just like so bad. It's like so crampy and things like that, which I probably need to eat more potassium or something. I've been trying to force myself to eat bananas. I don't like bananas, but I'm trying to force myself to eat them to help with that pain, because it is not fun at all. All right, then at 23 weeks is when Josue was actually able to feel a kick. It's so funny because, as I mentioned, at 22 weeks is when he kind of saw it, but then whenever I'd be like, quick, she's kicking, like put your hand on my stomach, as soon as he would put his hand on my stomach, I swear she would like freeze up and she would not move at all as soon as his hand went on my stomach. And he was always like, I want to feel her kick. And so at 23 weeks, he was able to feel for the first time. He felt her give him a little kick on his hand or something like that. So that was really exciting for him. And honestly, as far as that goes, oh, I did write too, pregnancy brain. That is a real thing. Like, that is seriously a real symptom. For one, I forget everything. I do like stuff that is kind of dumb and I don't think, and seriously I feel like pregnancy brain is, yeah, it's a thing, and I have it where I just forget everything. But honestly, that's pretty much all as far as my symptoms go and feelings of the baby. I do want to mention that last week, so I was 27 weeks at that time, I did feel her hiccup for the first time, and honestly, whenever I feel her move or anything, it is just the best feeling ever. And then when I felt her hiccuping, I literally got emotional. Like I almost cried, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is the cutest thing ever that she's like hiccuping inside me. Like, that is so cute. But overall, my second trimester has been pretty easy. I haven't had many symptoms at all, as I am nearing my third trimester. Well, now I'm in my third trimester, but as I'm nearing it, I do notice that I get more worn out easily. I am starting to feel a lot more tired, where I'm taking more naps and things like that. But other than that, for the majority of my second trimester, I felt really good. Like, I didn't have too many symptoms and I didn't feel bad. Like, I feel fine. So that is really awesome and I'm really thankful for that. So that was all as far as my symptoms go. I didn't have too many. I did want to mention though my glucose test, which you have to do the glucose test to check for gestational diabetes. So I went to my 1 hour test, let's see, when I was 26 weeks pregnant is when I took the 1 hour test. And honestly, you hear a lot of people talk about like that the test is super horrible, and it maybe is for some people, and a lot of people say that the drink tastes like super horrible. Honestly, the 1 hour test was not that bad for me. Like, I really didn't think it was that bad, and the drink itself, I actually told Josue, like, I'm like, it's kind of good. Like, I didn't think it tasted horrible at all. And so yeah, the 1 hour test was pretty easy for me, I would say, but I did not pass. I failed my glucose test, my 1 hour glucose test, which I was really disappointed on. So then that leads you to, you have to take a 3 hour glucose test, which is obviously not fun because you spend 3 hours in the doctor's office, which is very boring, and you have to get your blood drawn every hour. Now the 3 hour test was just horrible. I felt horrible that test. After I drank the glucose drink, probably 10-15 minutes later, I felt extremely dizzy and lightheaded. Like, I got tunnel vision, and I was just like, I told the nurse girl, I was like, am I allowed to drink water? Because I was like, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. And so I started sipping on water, and that helped me feel better. And then, like I said, you have to wait the whole 3 hours. You do that test, you have to fast before the test. So I was incredibly hungry. I was starving. And yeah, I just did not feel good for that whole test. And even after the test, like, I went home, I took like a 3 hour nap. I was exhausted, and then when I woke up from my nap, I had like a headache. Like, it threw me off the rest of the day, that test. So that was not fun, but I did get the results back to the 3 hour test and I passed. So I don't have gestational diabetes, thank goodness. And she even said, because I didn't pass my 1 hour test, but she said that all my levels for the 3 hour one were completely normal. My sugars weren't elevated at all. So that means that I can eat as many cookies as I want now. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, when I found out that I didn't pass the 1 hour test, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to cut out sweets. I need to eat so much better. I need to focus on like not eating sweets. And then now that I passed my 3 hour test, I feel a little bit more calmed down on that, but it is better to watch what I eat. So I will tell you guys, I have gained, I just had my 28-week appointment, and so through the course of my whole pregnancy so far, I've gained 20 pounds exactly, which I would have preferred to gain a little bit less, but that's fine. I still have obviously my whole third trimester. My goal for the pregnancy was to only gain 30 pounds throughout the course of the whole pregnancy, so that would mean I have 10 pounds left to gain, which I feel like I'm gonna gain a little bit more than that because they say that you can gain a lot of weight in your third trimester. So I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully the weight gain stays under control, because whatever you put on now, you're gonna have to get off after. I will go ahead though and show you guys a bump update. I'll show you guys what my belly bump looks like. So here she is. Here's the bump. It's getting pretty big, honestly. Yep, the bump is growing, you guys. Like, it's getting pretty big, I would say. So we'll see. I'm afraid I'm gonna just blow up in the third trimester and just be really huge, but we'll see. Hopefully not. So yeah, that's pretty much all for my second trimester update. As I mentioned, had a really easy second trimester, and I'm super thankful for that. Be sure to like this video if you like my trimester updates, and also subscribe to our channel because, I mean, third trimester, you guys, we are 12 weeks away from having this baby girl, and I'm so overjoyed and excited. And so we have a lot of fun things coming up, obviously, in the 3rd trimester. I'm gonna have a baby shower and be getting the baby things all ready and stuff like that. So it should be pretty exciting. So be sure to subscribe because you don't want to miss out. And yeah, that's pretty much all for this video. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.